Today I'm going to be showing you how to do an AF custom center stand on your Milwaukee 8 Softail. At the beginning of this installation, I'm going to be going over an issue that I encountered after installing an AirFX air ride system while using the provided air compressor and solenoid bracket. So I'm going to show you how I removed the bracket and relocated the solenoids and valve pair to the proper location. It turned out to be an easy fix, but I would recommend that you watch both the air ride installation and the center stand installation before working on your bike. First off, we're going to go ahead and remove the air compressor and the bracket and the solenoids all from the bracket that we mounted earlier. So the first thing that we want to do, we want to label our lines to make sure that we know exactly where they're going to go once we reinstall. So the first line is going to be this bottom line. This is going to be coming from a reservoir tank, also known as a highway bar. So I'm going to put a piece of tape on here. I'm going to label this res. I'm also going to put another piece, and I'm going to put this piece of tape right here on the fitting that it came out of. Next, we're going to remove the air compressor line, and we're going to label this comp. Put this right here. I'll do another one that says comp, and I'm going to go ahead and disconnect this line, and I'm just going to label that, set this aside for the time being. Next, we've got this T line that's coming in, and this is going to be to our shock. I'm going to go ahead and label this line shock right here. And this fitting right here, I'm going to go ahead and label that shock. You can also do this in numbers, whatever way it makes it easier for you to remember where these lines came off of. We've also got one more. This is the one that's going to be going straight up right here. This should be to our pressure switch. I'm going to go ahead and undo this, and I'll pull this line out just to make it a little bit easier to get to, and I'm going to label this PSI just like that. Okay, it's a little bit difficult for me to get down in here to label this one, but we'll get to this and I'll label it once I pull it out. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to unsnap the solenoids off of the 3M double-sided Velcro that we attached on here earlier. Now that those are loosened up, we can get to the two mounting bolts that we had placed on the top left and the top right. Now I'm going to take a 5/32 extended Allen, and I'm going to get inside those sockets and go ahead and break those loose. All right. Go ahead and remove this one. We're going to come to this other side. Break this one loose. Okay. All right, so while we're loosening this, let's go ahead and support our air compressor and bracket while this drops down. And we're going to set this down just like this. At this point, we can go ahead and disconnect our air compressor. So we're going to find our power and ground that we had, and we'll go ahead and undo these. It's just going to be these two plugs, very easy to get to. This is what I was talking about, what's nice about having some quick connects in the event that we have to service this system at all. Okay, at this point, our air compressor and our bracket is free. Let's go ahead and move this out of the way for the time being. Once all of our lines have been labeled, let's go ahead and undo the zip ties that are holding on the lines. Let's go ahead and undo the wires. Let's go ahead and undo the zip ties that are holding the wires to our solenoids. Okay, so these are our solenoid wires right here. Let's go ahead and label these. That way we know exactly where they're going to go back in order. Okay, so these are our solenoid wires. We're going to go ahead and label these. So we'll put the one here, put the one here. Next, I'm going to do 2 and 2. Let's label the next one 3 and 3. And the last solenoid, we're going to label this 4. and 4. Okay, so now once these are labeled, we can go ahead and disconnect. And at this point, we can go ahead and remove our solenoids out the way. Okay, so the tab that we're gonna be cutting is gonna be located right here. And the reason that we're gonna do this, we need to get these solenoids and these valve pairs that sit in this section and this section right here. So I'm gonna zoom back and I'm gonna show you how we're gonna cut this with our Dremel. All right, so I wanna make sure that none of these wires are in the way. I'm gonna get my cutting wheel right here. All right, and that's about the amount of material that we're gonna cut off of here. Okay, so the next thing we wanna do is we wanna relocate our valve pair, our solenoids. So we've got one solenoid valve pair with 4 outlets, and we're gonna move this to the side. This is gonna be mounted here, but what we're gonna be focusing on is our exhaust solenoid, which is the one that was connected to the shock. So we're gonna be placing this right back in here, and there's a spot that we can get this in, and that's what we're gonna do right now. And I'm gonna go ahead and remove this line as well. We're gonna be replacing it here in just a few minutes. Probably a good idea to go ahead and remove this tape if you put some on here. Now remember, this is the location that our air line came in from our shock. And I'm just gonna pull that out. All right. What I'm gonna do, I'm gonna get this solenoid over here, and I wanna move it all the way over to the left-hand side as far as possible. Excellent. So let's go ahead and pull our line up that we had for our air shock. And our air shock line is going to be connected right here. At this time, we can go ahead and shorten this line. I'm going to cut it, make sure that that cut is straight. And we're going to plug this back in where our air shock was originally plugged into. Excellent. Okay. Next, we have our second solenoid in our valve pair, okay? Now this is going to be mounted right here, but we need a way to secure this. So in the back of our battery tray, we have an area that we can brace this. I'm gonna go grab a zip tie, and we're gonna mount this right here. You see, I got this zip tie right here. This is where we're gonna secure our solenoid to. What we are gonna need is to replace this line that was coming from this solenoid to this solenoid. So we'll go ahead and take a measurement, see exactly what we need. Put this there. And let's go ahead and start right here. If we need to shorten it down, we can. Okay. Inserting this line in. All right. Go ahead and clip the excess material that we don't need. And for right now, we're going to move those wires out the way. Okay, so for our next fitting, we're going to be looking at this T-fitting. Now we had labeled this, and this is coming from our pressure switch. So we're going to go ahead and disconnect this, because after we relocated this, we don't have enough line to make this a good connection. So I'm going to go ahead and unplug this right here. And I'm going to take some additional line, make sure that we've got a good straight cut on there. And just come in straight. Just like this. Okay, that's good, we're plugged in. And we don't ever want to kink any of these lines, so let's get these wires out the way. Route it properly. I'm going to route this right behind these wires so they don't get kinked. And I'm just going to make a loop, and this is where I want to connect it into. So this is where my cut line is going to be. I can go underneath those wires right there. And I'm just going to plug in just like that. At this point, we can go ahead and remove our label. So the other part of this T-fitting is going to be routed to our reservoir. This is going to be going up to our highway bar that we converted into our air tank. But the problem is that our air tank reservoir is down here and it's too short. So we're going to go ahead and replace that line. I'm going to pull it off of the front of the air tank, and I'm going to extend this line, and we're going to plug it into here. We'll go ahead and do that now. Just going to undo this line, and I'm going to pull this out. And we've got our new line, which should be long enough to reach back where we need it to. And now I'm going to route this line all the way back. Pulling this line up. Now I'm going to go behind the swing arm so that way it doesn't interfere with the tire or anything, and I'm going to route it up as close as possible to our T-fitting that we have. And this is about where I'm going to do my cut line. Take my cutter. Perfect. And from here I can go ahead and remove my label. It's labeled res. Excellent. All right, now plug this in. Excellent. Perfect. Now we only have one line left, and that was the one that was going from this valve pair right here at the very top. Now this is what's going to be running into our air compressor, but we're going to be relocating that air compressor with a brand new bracket. So I'm going to go ahead and remove this line for the time being. We're not going to need it, and we're going to need to take an extra measurement to make sure that it fits properly. This time, let's go ahead and take our solenoid connections, and let's find the labels that we put on them. So this is 3, and this is 3. I'm going to go ahead and plug those in together. This is 1, this is 1. Let's go ahead and plug these back together. This is number 4. This is going to be 4, so we'll go ahead and plug these back together. Once these are plugged back, we can go ahead and remove our tags. All right. At this point, I'm going to go ahead and clean up some of these wires. So first off, let's get a zip tie. Run these together. Just like that. And I can probably secure one more up here. And we'll go ahead and cut these excess zip tie material off. Okay, so we still got these 2 lines that we have not connected yet. This is going to be for our air compressor power and ground. So we're going to leave these be, as well as this air line that's going to be going to the compressor. From here, let's go ahead and move into the installation of our center stand. Now let's go over the AF Customs electric center stand and exactly what you're gonna get. So this is your electric center stand. Now there's gonna be 5 mounting positions on here, and it's all gonna be mounted to your transmission oil pan. Now the first 3 are going to go from the bottom up. So on the back of your oil pan on your transmission, you are going to have to remove 3 bolts, and you're gonna use the 3 1/4-20 bolts that are provided in your kit. These are gonna go from the bottom up. The other 2 mounting positions are going to go on the back face of your oil pan on your transmission. That's going to be here and here. You're also going to be using 2 1/4-20 bolts with washers that are provided in your kit as well. Now let's talk about your compressor mount. So if you look right here, you've got this opening with some pinch bolts. Now if you notice, if you put your air compressor in here, it is not going to mount because the openings are way too big. But AF Customs has done a great job of machining some bushings that will allow any of the air compressors that are on the market to mount properly inside this area. So essentially what happens is these machine pieces will sit here and sit on this back side, and once your air compressor is in, you'll tighten up these pinch bolts and your air compressor will be mounted securely. AF Customs has done a really good job at making multiple bushings for all types of air compressors. Now, the Airfix air ride systems, we are using the Viair 95C. So whenever you're ordering your center stand, you need to specify what air ride system compressor you're using on your kit. Your kit's also going to come with a set of legs, short and long. You're also going to have some extended feet to make sure that you get proper height adjustment on your center stand, depending on how high or how low your air ride system goes. It's also going to come with your electrical switch and all the hardware you're going to need to do your installation. Now that I've gone over the electric center stand, everything that you're going to get, let's move over to the bike and let me show you how it's done. Okay, so this is your transmission right here. Now you're gonna have 3 bolts that are firing up. So the first thing we wanna do is let's go ahead and remove these 1/4 20 bolts, and we'll set these aside. Now it's time to connect the electrical switch to the battery. We're gonna go ahead and remove the fuse for this part of the installation. Now to get to the positive terminal of this battery, you're gonna need to remove this shroud. Once the shroud is removed, you can push it over and we can gain access to the positive terminal of the battery. Once we have access, I'm gonna take a long screwdriver and I'm going to remove the bolt. Sometimes this battery bolt can be a pain in the butt to get to, so I generally use a magnet or bring it up from this wire. Once I have it, I'm going to hold on to both these. Slide our terminal on. You go ahead and tighten down the positive terminal. You go ahead and slide back this shroud, lock it in place, and then we're going to bring this ground and we'll connect it over to the negative side of the battery. Okay, so before connecting your ground wire, this ground wire is a little bit short, so what we're going to do, we're going to cut this, we're going to extend it so that way we have enough slack to reach our negative terminal on our battery. So I'm adding about 6 inches here. We may not need all of it, but better have it not need it than need it and not have it. All right, now I can route this ground wire underneath. Now we can connect this to our ground terminal of our battery. Now it's time to mount our air compressor. Grab your compressor, the 2 machine bushings that were provided in your kit, and a 3/16 socket Allen. I'm going to show you how to set up your compressor for installation. The easiest way to get this done is by removing the 4 bolts holding your bracket on. So we'll do that first. Let's take these 4 bolts and set them aside. Next, we're going to remove the 2 top bolts to our pinch bolts. Move the first bracket. Okay, let's take these brackets over to the bench. Okay, the first thing we want to do, we want to find the direction of our air compressor, which is going to go through your ports that we have right here. Next, before we slide this through, we need to make sure that this bushing is through here, so we're going to slide this in just like that. Just like that. Once this is done, we can go ahead and spin this bushing just like that. Next, we're going to take this in like that. Once we have this side in, we can go ahead and push this bushing in, making sure that it's flat. Put this one on, and we're going to do the same to the other side. Go ahead and push this down, spin this upright. All right, once you have your bushing flanges on, it should look just like this. Now take note, upon final assembly, you're gonna want to have these openings lined up with these openings right here, but we can adjust those a little bit later in the installation. So the first 2 bolts that we want to put in are going to be the top 2. They're going to be on that bracket that is on the face of the transmission housing. Go ahead and slide this in place. And I think it's going to be a little easier to go in from the side, just like that. Once this is in place, I found that it's easiest to use a ball head Allen T-handle to get to these bolts. Okay, I've got one started, and I've got the second one started as well. Now, I'm not going to tighten these all the way, I just want to get them started. Next, we're going to take the 4 bolts that we removed from the bottom, and we're going to go ahead and start reinstalling them. Okay, we've got 2 started so far. So I'm gonna go ahead and snug up these bottom 4 bolts. Now what I'm doing right now is I'm just making sure that these bushings are gonna be flush on the inner diameter of this bracket that we have. So after doing some adjusting, I have my flanges lined up with the opening right here along with the pinch bolt, and I've done the same thing to the other side. So now we can go ahead and start tightening up our pinch bolts. Now I had a little bit of adjustment on how I wanted this compressor to sit. Now I didn't want it to be too high up with this check valve right here. I didn't want it to hit the swing arm whenever the swing arm was all the way down. So I positioned it as far as I could down, and my airline's gonna run up, and I'll show you how we'll run that airline here in just a few minutes. But right now, I'm gonna be using my ball head 3/16 Allen head to tighten these pinch bolts. All right. Now if I grab this compressor and I'm putting a lot of force on it, this compressor is not moving. That's a good solid mount. At this time I'm going to take the positive and negative from our air compressor and I'm going to run it through the back portion of the swing arm. You can see it coming up right there. Just use my fingers to grab it and pull it through. All right, there we go. Okay, so these are our connections to our air compressor. We can go ahead and reconnect those. And our ground. Go ahead and get some zip ties and secure these. Now remember, we still have an air line from this valve right here that's going to be connected into the air compressor. So let's go ahead and run a line coming up and we'll route it through here and we'll get it connected up there. So I'm going to start with a fresh straight cut, just like that, and let's go ahead and connect into this air compressor. All right, that's good. All right. See that I'm bringing my line up right through the center right there. It's out of the way. I don't want any kinks or any bends in this line, so what I wanted to do, I wanted to kind of hoop around. So I'm going to feed it through the back portion of these wires. I'm going to bring it in on the inside of the bike. I think I can grab it with my fingers here. Yep, there we go. And we're just going to route it just like this. That's going to be my cut line right here. I want to bring it over that shock and just going to plug it in place. Bam, money. Okay, so before we cap this up, let's come down over here to our electric center stand and we want to grab this wire right here. Now I'm going to run this wire along the left hand side and feed it up right here. And remember that electrical switch that we had? So we're going to connect these 2 plugs together. Go ahead and plug these in. Bam. I'm going to go ahead and secure our wire with a few zip ties. At this time we can go ahead and take our splash guard. Let's go ahead and place it in the 2 tabs. Push this in place. And let's take our screw. And that is looking good. Okay, at this time, let's go ahead and grab a 10 amp fuse and we're going to place it in our inline fuse holder. There we go. First thing we want to check our switch to make sure our electric center stand is functioning. And we've got power. Everything seems to be working good. Next, let's go ahead and lower the motorcycle down to the lowest position with our air ride. Now that our bike is down, let's go ahead and get these legs fit for this bike. Now it's time to install the legs on our electric center stand. So inside our kit, we got a set of short legs, a set of long legs. We also have some adjustable stacks and the feet that we're gonna be adding on at the very end once we find the length of legs that we're gonna need on this electric center stand. So we've got the air ride all the way down. So number one, we have to find the legs that are gonna be closest to the ground possible. I already did a couple of test fits and the best fit are gonna be the long legs with our boots on the end. Let's get these legs on the bike and I'm gonna show you how it's done. Okay, so the first thing that we wanna find out is which leg goes on the left and which leg goes on the right. Now, if you put this leg on, man, this is just a really funny position. Now, this is all the way back and that's all the way forward. This isn't gonna work if we go up or down. So we know that this leg is gonna be going on the right side. So now we know which leg is on what side. We're gonna go ahead and remove this leg and now we have to fasten a bolt to hold this boot on the bottom of this leg. So we're gonna take one of the provided bolts and we're gonna put a little bit of blue Loctite on here to ensure that it doesn't back out. Turn it over just like that, and we'll use our 5/32 Allen head to tighten this up. Let's go and get our ratchet and just give it a good torque. There we go. Now we can go ahead and put our leg on, and we're gonna take the provided taper. I believe this is a 1/4-20. I've already got some blue Loctite on here, and I'm going to tighten this one up as well. Okay, we can go to the other side and do the same exact thing. Okay, don't forget to put our bolt in on the bottom of our boot. Use our 5/32 to hand spin it in. Perfect. Okay, now, perfect. Okay, so now we can go ahead and do our test. Let's go up with our air ride and kick our legs up. Wow, that's fast. Kick our legs down, and we're gonna release air from our air ride. And man, works like a champ. That's awesome. Really great product. Now, one of the things you wanna make sure of is that these boots are on the right way. Now, they can flip either way. If you put this in over here, it's going to be in an angle like that. So you wanna make sure that when you put these on, they are facing the right way. And if they're not, just remove them, flip them around, and you'll be okay.